When I got my dream job, my husband's family was furious. His mom said, "A good wife stays home. Quit before you embarrass us." Ryan agreed. It's what's best for the family. That night, I made up my mind. The next morning, I was gone, and so was something they wanted back. Let me explain. My name is Laura. I've been married to Ryan for 6 years. We lived in a small town in Texas where his family was rich and well known. Ryan's mom, Diane, controlled everything. His dad, William, barely spoke, and Ryan was their golden child. I was the wife who never quite fit in. I should have seen it coming. From the start, they made it clear. A wife stays home. A wife focuses on family. A wife knows her place. For years, I played along. I worked part-time and did everything expected of me: cooking, cleaning, hosting family gatherings. I stayed quiet when Ryan's dad made comments about women ruining marriages, or when Diane said, "A woman with a career has no time for her husband." But I had my own dreams. Before meeting Ryan, I worked hard for a degree in business and technology. I never wanted to just be a stay-at-home wife. Then, out of nowhere, I got a job offer from a tech company in Austin. It was everything I'd worked for. I thought Ryan would be happy for me, but he didn't get it. "You don't need to work," he said. "My salary is enough." I explained it wasn't about money, it was about having something of my own. But he didn't understand, or worse, he didn't care. Later that evening, his whole family came over. Suddenly, it wasn't just Ryan against me, it was all of them. Diane said, "A wife should never put herself before her husband." I tried to speak, but she cut me off. "This job would be a disgrace. People will think Ryan isn't providing for you." William nodded, agreeing. Ryan just sat there, arms crossed, not saying anything. That's when I realized it wasn't about the job. It was about control. They didn't want me to be independent. They wanted me to stay silent, obedient, and grateful. Diane said again, "A good wife stays home. Quit before you embarrass us." Ryan finally spoke. It's what's best for the family. That night, I decided I was done. I had always compromised for them, but no more. I wasn't just leaving. I was taking something they wanted back. I went to the filing cabinet and pulled out a folder. It was the deed to Ryan's grandfather's lake house. Before we got married, Ryan's grandfather left the house to me. His family had spent years pressuring me to sign it over, but it was mine, and now it was my backup plan. By morning, I was gone. I packed my bag, grabbed the deed, and drove to Austin. I didn't leave a note. The call started before noon. Ryan was the first, followed by Diane, then Ryan's sister. When I answered, Ryan shouted, "You can't do this." "I didn't do anything," I said. "I just took what was mine." His mom called next, demanding I return the deed. I refused. They tried threats, guilt, and lawyers, but I already had my own lawyer. They had no case. Then Ryan did the one thing I didn't expect. He showed up at my new apartment. He walked in and looked around, clearly upset. "We need to talk," he said. I asked, "What's the point?" He sighed. "I get it. You needed to prove something. Fine, you did. Now come home." I stared at him. Home. He was still clueless. He didn't get that I wasn't proving anything. I was freeing myself. I handed him a thick envelope. Inside were the papers for the sale of the lake house. "What is this?" Ryan asked, shocked. "It's done," I said simply. Ryan's face went white. "You sold it." "Yes." He was furious. "You had no right." I laughed. "No right? Like how I had no right to make my own choices." Ryan was angry, but he had no words. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "You thought I'd stay forever, give up everything like your mom did. But I remember now." Ryan stormed out. I thought that would be it, but I was wrong. The next day, I woke up to dozens of missed calls and messages. Ryan's family was furious, calling me selfish and ungrateful. Some even accused me of being a gold digger. I wasn't surprised. His family had always controlled the town. They tried to make me the villain, but I wasn't backing down. Then, I got a lawsuit. They were trying to claim I had stolen the lake house. But I knew they had no case. The will was clear, and I had my lawyer. Ryan texted me, "Give back the house, and this all goes away." I stared at the message. They still thought I would bend. They forgot one thing. I had spent 6 years surviving them, and now it was my turn to fight. A few days later, I got a call from the lawyer who handled Ryan's grandfather's will. I heard about what they're trying to pull, he said. Let me help. I was confused. Why? Because your husband's grandfather wanted you to have a way out, the lawyer explained. He didn't want you to be trapped. I swallowed hard, feeling tightness in my throat. For the first time in weeks, tears burned my eyes, not because I was sad, but because for the first time in years, someone really saw me. With his help, we filed a countersuit for harassment and defamation. We also sent legal warnings to everyone who had slandered me online. Things changed fast. The Facebook posts disappeared. The nasty messages stopped, and then the final blow. Ryan's parents had to drop the lawsuit because their businesses weren't as successful as they claimed. The legal costs were draining them, and their fight ended quietly. But I wasn't done. I still had one last move to make. Ryan's family was in trouble, and I knew it. The lawsuit had backfired, the lake house money was safe, and now their reputation was falling apart. They weren't in control anymore, but I still wasn't going to let them recover. They had pushed me too far. One night, while going through old emails, I found a message from Ryan's grandfather that stopped me in my tracks. It was from years ago, before he passed away. I had almost forgotten about it, but now it stood out like a flashing sign. If anything happens to me, check the safe in my study. The combination is April 18th, 62. My heart skipped a beat. Ryan's grandfather had trusted me with a safe code, and I knew exactly where it was. When I last visited the lake house, I saw it hidden behind a bookshelf. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but now I was very interested in what he had left behind. I drove to the lake house at 2 a.m. It was still technically mine. The sale wasn't finished, but I wasn't taking any chances. I parked down the road, walked through the trees, and sneaked in through the back door. The house was dark and untouched. I moved quickly, heading straight to the study. My hands shook as I moved the bookshelf aside to reveal the safe. I punched in the combination. April 18th, 62. The safe clicked open. Inside were stacks of folders. When I pulled one out and opened it, I gasped. They were bank records, but not just any records. Illegal transactions, all linked to Ryan's father. Ryan's family had always boasted about their successful businesses, but these papers told a very different story. There were fake invoices, offshore accounts, and shell companies used to launder money. It was fraud, huge fraud. If this got out, Ryan's father would go to prison. And now I had everything. Their empire wasn't just crumbling. It was rotting from the inside, and I was about to set it on fire. I made copies of everything and emailed them to an investigative journalist. No explanation, no warning, just the documents. 2 weeks later, the story broke. The headline: Prominent local businessman under federal investigation for financial crimes. Ryan's father was finished. His businesses shut down. His house was foreclosed. The same people who once admired him now turned their backs. And Ryan, for the first time in his life, wasn't the golden boy anymore. I knew he would come back, and sure enough, a week after the story hit, he showed up at my apartment. But this time, he looked different. Not angry, just lost. You did this, he said quietly. I didn't answer. I just watched him. He ran a hand through his messy hair. You destroyed my family. I tilted my head. No, Ryan, your family destroyed themselves. I just stopped protecting them. He swallowed hard. For the first time, I think he actually saw me, not as his wife, but as the woman who had outsmarted him. Then he said something I never thought I'd hear from him. I was wrong. But it was too late for that. I stepped back and looked at him one last time. Yeah, you were. Then I shut the door and never looked back. That should have been the end of it. I had won. His father was facing charges. His family was financially ruined, and their reputation was shattered. But people like Ryan don't disappear easily, and I should have known he wouldn't go down quietly. 2 weeks later, I got a message from Diane, a simple text. We need to talk. Family dinner Saturday. Be there. It was like nothing had happened, like I was still part of their family. I almost laughed. After everything, they thought I'd show up like nothing had changed. But something told me this wasn't an invitation. It was a trap. That Saturday, I drove to their house. The mansion they used to brag about, now abandoned. The lawn was overgrown, the shutters were peeling, and only one old sedan sat in the driveway. They had lost everything, and I wasn't sorry. I stepped inside. Ryan was by the fireplace, his sister was on the couch, and at the head of the table sat Diane. She gestured for me to sit. Sit. I didn't. I crossed my arms and leaned against the wall. I assume this isn't a family reunion. Diane exhaled sharply, her fingers tapping the wine glass. You went too far. I smiled. Did I? You destroyed us, Ryan's sister cried. You sold Grandpa's house. You ruined our business. You. I exposed the truth. I cut in. That wasn't my fault. That was your father's crimes finally catching up to him. Diane slammed her glass down. You didn't have to involve the press. I laughed coldly. What did you want me to do? Stay quiet? Let you drag me through the mud while playing the victims? Ryan finally spoke, his voice low. We could have fixed this. I turned to him. Fixed what? Your father's fraud? Your mother's manipulation? Or did you just want me to come crawling back like always? His fists clenched. You didn't have to burn it all down. The room went silent. Then I said, maybe I did. Diane's jaw tightened. If you have any decency, return the money from the house sale. It was meant to stay in the family. I felt cold. She was still trying to control me. Even now, when everything had fallen apart, she still acted like I owed them something. I took a slow breath and said, what family? Diane blinked. I gestured around. Look at you. You turned on me the second I did something for myself. You never saw me as part of this family. You just wanted me under your control. She opened her mouth, but I wasn't finished. And the best part, I leaned in, my voice soft but sharp. Your husband is going to prison, and you won't have a single dollar to your name. Diane turned pale. Ryan's sister gasped. And Ryan, he wasn't angry or in denial. He was scared. He finally realized what I had known all along. There was no coming back from this. I reached for the door. Ryan spoke again. Laura. I hesitated. His voice was different. Raw, not angry, just lost. I loved you, he said quietly. For a moment, I believed him. But love isn't control. Love isn't ownership. Love isn't making someone feel small. I nodded once. Maybe you did. Then I walked out the door, and for the first time in years, I felt free. A month later, Ryan's father was arrested. The trial was brutal, and he took a plea deal to avoid a longer sentence. Diane tried to keep up appearances, but without her husband's money and power, she faded into obscurity. Ryan's sister moved away, and Ryan. I heard he tried to rebuild his life, but his name was forever tainted. As for me, I thrived. My career in Austin flourished. I found real friends, people who valued me for who I was, not for what I could sacrifice. And every so often, I thought about that house by the lake, the one they said would never be mine, and I smiled. Because in the end, they tried to erase me, but I was the one who erased them.